Hey guys, how are you? I hope you're all doing very well. This afternoon I'm going to be doing another movie review. This movie is a crime film from USA, English language, released in the year 2016, directed by Paul Schrader, and this film is called Dog Eat Dog. So Dog Eat Dog is about three criminals. They've been released from prison after lengthy sentences, and they've become very close with each other. So they want to turn their lives around, but they can't really do that because they can't find jobs. So they stay in the crime world by doing these petty thefts for this local businessman, and but they really want to make more of themselves. They want to actually get a big job where they can get a large sum of money so they can retire from crime and try and become better people. So this one job does come about in the form of a kidnapping. Now they're supposed to kidnap the 1-year-old son of this gangster, and they're going to basically set this kid up for ransom in order to pay back a debt that this gangster owes to another gangster. So they do this, they kidnap the boy, but there are some complications that arise that force these men to basically run for their lives, not only from the police but also the gangsters that they've done wrong. And so all of these consequences are going to force these criminals to go down a path of self-discovery and really face up to the people they are and try and come to terms with the current situation. So whether or not they can, something you're going to have to find out for yourself, because that's as far as I'm going with my synopsis. Now my thoughts on Dog Eat Dog. Coming into this movie, I was very interested. I know who Paul Schrader is, although I haven't been exposed to any of his films yet. I know that he has a lot of accolades surrounding him. So coming into a movie like this, I saw the trailer, I thought it was a very darkly comic film. And so that's what I really wanted. Willem Dafoe and Nicolas Cage also star in this movie, so for that reason, I really wanted to check it out. And I had a lot of expectations that this was going to be a very enjoyable film. But at the end of this movie, I was surprised at just how much I disliked this movie. Now, I think this movie fails on all levels that it wants to try and do, and I think the reason it fails is because it's got so many tones in this movie, I don't know where it wanted to go. Now, it doesn't want to be a darkly comic film, doesn't want to be just a straight-out, bizarre acid trip of a movie, or doesn't want to be a gangster film. And so when all of these tones come into the movie, it doesn't gel, and it feels like it's rebounding off each other, and I felt just as though it was an empty-headed experience. It felt like it was nothing was going on inside its head. It was just air. It was just a little ball that was just going ding, ding, ding from one place to another and not really concluding to anything satisfactory. And so you've got, at the start of this movie, it had a very, very good scene of darkly comic violence. And I thought, okay, this is going to be one hell of a wild ride. But after that one scene, it went downhill. So it felt like Paul Schrader used all of his aces up very, very early on. And when it runs out of steam from the start, this is how disappointing it is because I just felt like the movie went nowhere. The characters went nowhere. This could have been a movie about characters coming to terms with who they are as far as life of crime is concerned, about who they are, about who they want to be. But these characters, although they come across as crazy and out of this world and colourful, there is no depth to them whatsoever. And so I didn't care what happened to them. I didn't care about, what they were getting up to, because they are criminals. And so why should we like these people? Why should we get behind these people? Why should I care about Willem Dafoe after he's done such horrific things? And so there was a platform there to make this a movie that could have been incredibly uncomfortable. It could have been a very provocative film. But I just felt that it just had some really weird moments. It had some shocking scenes of violence. And it was just a very, very superficial film. Nicolas Cage, I don't know what he's doing with his career, because this was a forgettable performance. At one stage, I felt that he was the smart guy in the group. Then the next stage, he's a stupid sort of criminal. And so the characters are inconsistent, the tone is inconsistent, and it just felt like it went absolutely nowhere. When they do wrong by these criminals, I thought, okay, this is going to really step up into gear, and it's going to be like a chase film, or it's going to be a thriller, or it's going to be a suspenseful movie. But after they do wrong to this gangster, this is where the movie, once again, it comes to an abrupt halt. And so I just felt to myself, is this supposed to be a symbolic film? Because there are some very bizarre moments, especially right at the end, that didn't make any sense whatsoever. And so I've left scratching my head thinking, okay, is this a significant sort of symbolism? Is this something that is supposed to be a second meaning? And I just couldn't get anything out of it. And so it wants to be an intelligent film, I believe. But I just felt that it didn't want to do its homework. It didn't want to go into depth into these characters. It didn't want to go into depth in this story. And it just felt like a director who does have accolades, who's just banking on the fact that he is a very well-known presence as far as movie making is concerned, and he's going to cash in off that only. And so it felt like a very lazy film. It felt like a movie that didn't really need to exist, and it didn't have anything good going for it. I thought that the performances from these actors, Nicolas Cage and Willem Dafoe was the biggest disappointment I had in this movie. I wasn't expecting much from Nicolas Cage because his career has been on a downward spiral for quite some time. But Willem Dafoe's character, he was this mad, crazy guy. But once again a very dull and uninteresting guy. And this is a guy that, you know, I really wanted to get into, because at the start of the film he was brutal and he was just batshit crazy. But I just couldn't get into him after that. It's because it just feels as though nothing is behind anything. And so that is the biggest problem. There is comedy in the film that doesn't work because it feels very bland and flat. The script, it just felt like a bad Guy Ritchie film. It felt like a bad version of Lock, Stock and Two Smoking Barrels. It felt like a bad version of Snatch. It just felt like a movie that didn't need to exist, and only existing so that Paul Schrader could really cash in just from the fact that he is a director who has directed good films in the past. So that's the biggest problem to the movie. There is no real positives to this, and it is certainly not coming recommended. So overall, for Dog Eat Dog, I'm only going to give this one half a star. I was surprised by how bad it was. Alright guys, that's it for my review. Hope you enjoyed it. Till next time, keep watching movies, and I'll see you later.